Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda Rose and I am back with another video. It is finally summer vacation if you live on the East Coast. We just wrapped up our school year and so I have a little bit more pep in my step because I am so excited to give myself some much needed rest, but not too much rest because I am going to be, hopefully, fingers crossed, consistently posting some videos on YouTube. It's been a while, but as you all know, or for those of you who are new to my channel, I am a New York City social studies teacher. I teach 6th grade and also high school 10th grade. I teach a global history class that has a New York State regions at the end of it. And so towards the end of the school year, I am packing in tutoring and practice and review. And so my time is really focused on making sure that my students do well, which they did, as opposed to a couple of years ago before I changed my school. I taught seniors, and if you teach seniors, wow, what a breeze. Towards the end of the year, a lot of them are not showing up to school, and there's prom and the trip and this and that. And so it's a very easy going end of the year, but if you teach any other grade, especially middle school, because we go until the last day, and then of course teaching a Regents class, the end of the year is very busy and very, very important. So I am here and ready to give you all some content. So if you haven't already, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel, that you get ready to like this video, because in today's video, we're going to be discussing why are so many teachers leaving teaching, and also what is my advice for those of you who are currently pursuing a career in education, or even those of you who are currently teaching and considering leaving the profession. So what I did was I actually posted this on my Instagram a couple of weeks ago. So I'll put my Instagram handle in the description box so that you can also follow me on Instagram. I'm not very active on there, but again, summer's here, so I'm hoping to change that. But I actually wanted to hear from teachers. What are the reasons why they are feeling burnt out, wanting to leave, and also just, you know, you have to go straight to the source if you want to know why people are really feeling down and out about education. Get straight to it. The first thing that I consistently saw is that there is an unrealistic amount of expectations, and workload is really what the unrealistic expectations are. And so I saw that over and over and over again. And yes, I completely agree with that. I've said this in previous videos. Teaching is a 24/7 job. It can be if you let it be that. There's always something new. There's always something different that you can add to a lesson plan. There's always another assignment that you can grade. There's always another home that you can call. If you let it, teaching can take up your entire life. However, there's a difference between your personal expectations of yourself as an educator and then the expectations that are mandated on you when it comes to administration or even the district that you work in. These two things, I believe, are constantly at odds with each other. I genuinely believe that all teachers, for the most part, want to do well. They want to do a great job, and they have specific expectations for themselves that are already high. But then when you have these unrealistic demands from administration, from the district, from parents, from whoever the case may be, it really starts to feel overwhelming and it starts to feel very unrealistic. And the truth is, no one ever wants to feel like they're going to lose their job for not being able to meet unrealistic expectations, or even worse, feeling like you have to now leave your job because you cannot meet the demands. The truth is, I completely agree with this point. There are many unrealistic expectations. I do think this varies from school to school. At my current school that I am at, there are very high expectations for educators there. But our students also perform really, really well. So although we have high expectations, our statistics also match that. At my previous school, I had very low expectations from administration. And so having my own high expectations was nice because I was able to manage how long I wanted to spend on an assignment, how long I wanted to grade, how long, whatever the case may be. So I totally agree with you guys. I think unrealistic expectations, it seems like it's just becoming more and harder to really say no to a lot of things. So another thing that kept popping up, at least for 5 to 6 different people, someone literally wrote, I can't even write this all in the box, is that there are no consequences for student behavior. No consequences for student behavior. No consequences for student behavior. I cannot tell you how many teachers wrote that down. Here's the thing with consequences for student behavior. I also agree with this. We see less and less responsibility from administration and more responsibility being put on teachers to manage student behavior. The truth is, there's only so much that you can do as an educator to manage student behavior. I myself am currently working on a course to help teachers and empower you with tools when it comes to classroom management. I am not an expert, but I do implement a lot of things in my classroom that truly do help with behavior. Is my classroom perfect? No, but I do think that I have a really great handle on classroom management that really does help with student behavior. At this point in the career, it seems like teachers have to implement their own consequences, which is also exhausting but not impossible. And if you're consistent with your consequences, the goal, fingers crossed, I could barely even cross my fingers, the goal is that less and less students will act out. We're going to have students that push boundaries or don't respect or follow any type of boundaries. That will happen, but you don't want to have a class that's always out of control, because that is emotionally draining on a day-to-day basis. So other reasons why many of you are saying that it's just not really something that you want to be in anymore. A lot of you are saying the income compared to responsibility. Somebody else said low pay. Another person said low pay compared to workload. Lack of appreciation and pay, terrible wages. And what's interesting is that many of you are sharing this from all over the world. I have someone from Portugal that said low pay, someone that says they're in Central Europe, which says low pay, and of course, a lot of my American friends that said low pay. I think this is something that when you speak to people who are not teachers, they're always like, but you knew when you got into the profession that it wasn't going to be a lot of money. Yes, understood. But we also thought that we would be able to make a living off of it. We also thought that there wouldn't have to be so many teachers having to work a second job in order to make ends meet. There's a difference between low pay and then not being able to survive off of a teacher income, which requires a master's degree and an education and a lot of studying and a lot of planning. And so there is a major difference between, again, low wages versus being able to have a living income. Now, I will say that personally, I am very fortunate that working in New York City, low pay is not something that New York City teachers deal with. Now, if you're a paraprofessional, if you're a substitute teacher, that is different. But if you are a full-on permanent teacher working in a school, in my personal opinion, the teacher pay for New York is great. The increase doesn't happen as often as I think it should. I don't think anyone should be getting paid the same amount of money for 5 years straight, but that's a contract issue. But I do think that starting salary, and when you do receive the increases, I do think that it is fair in comparison to other states. Other states that I've researched, it's disgusting how low the pay is when we're thinking about how much teachers do. And so I think that if districts were more willing to pay teachers what they deserve and what the job really entails, because again, truly we're working almost all of the time, then I think that more teachers would be willing to stay. Now, again, this video, for those of you who are stumbling on here and you are not a teacher, this is not teacher complaints. Every job may have these same concerns, right? Nurses have similar concerns. Anything where you are in a career that is providing a service for people and having to deal with multiple individuals, sometimes hundreds of individuals on a daily basis, I do think that there are many shared grievances amongst those types of careers. And so maybe this branches out even beyond teaching, but because teaching is what I do, it's what I've done for the last 11 years, this is the area that I am speaking to. And so then there is one other area where many teachers said this is the reason why they are quitting education: administration. So many people, admin isn't supportive of teachers. There's a lack of true support. It's not worth time and energy. Admin's unrealistic expectations, no support with student behavior. There's no true safety in the school, administration, and discipline. This is probably the number one reason why so many teachers say that they want to leave education. And I totally get it, because the reason why I left my previous job, my previous school, was because of administration. I could not take it anymore. I couldn't take the decisions that they were making. I couldn't take the changes that they were making on behalf of students and teachers. And so I got out as quickly as I could. Thankfully, at my school now, there is supportive admin, but I can totally understand the pressure that is put on administration. I have cried many tears the last 2 years because of the pressure that administration has put on me. I am someone who has high expectations for myself, and I stress myself out all on my own when it comes to the things that I'm trying to do. And so this lends me to my point earlier. Then when you have administration's expectations, it can be just really overwhelming, especially when there's so many other things that you're doing. If you have children, if you're still in school, if you have health issues. I've mentioned this before in some of my videos, but I'm a type 1 diabetic, and stress just sends my blood sugars out of control. It makes it so much harder to manage. And so for the weeks that I know I possibly have an informal observation coming up, sometimes it can make me so nervous that my blood sugars are so high, and it's like I'm constantly giving insulin to have to manage just stress. So I get it, and it's extremely unhealthy. And so I understand, because we work so hard, you put so much time and energy into daily lessons, and then you have to go to work and feel the pressure of just being scrutinized. And it's like, who wants to go to work and feel stressed and overwhelmed? Like, it's already a lot to have to deal with student behavior, and then to add the pressure of administration. So I get it. I totally get it. And I think for many teachers, they're just done. They're tired of having to deal with it. I think teaching is also changing. I think 20, 30 years ago, when people entered into the education field, it was, I am going to do this for the rest of my life. This is my career until I retire. And even myself, I have been a teacher for the last 11 years. And when I too entered into the field, that was the mindset that I had. This is what I'm going to do forever. I'm going to retire as a teacher. But as the demands become more and more, and I think COVID really created a shift in our perspectives when it comes to what's important and how much time we truly dedicate to work, that I think many people are just not willing to give and give and give without receiving back. And so I think that for many, we're going to see a new wave of people that are not necessarily treating teaching as their lifelong career. It may be something that they just decide to do for 10 years or less and then move on to something different. So here is my advice for people who are currently teaching, for people who are considering becoming a teacher. 1, if you are currently a teacher, you have to outweigh the pros and cons. Do you feel overwhelmed 90% of the time? Do you look forward to summers because that's your only break? then it might be possible to consider something else. I know the biggest thing is that then what do we do? You can pursue something in medicine, you can create curriculum, you can do something that has to deal with IT. You don't have to stay within the teaching world if you don't want to. Maybe pursue something in administration. With a lot of our skills, that's what we do oftentimes on a daily basis anyway. So if you are truly considering leaving education, I would say don't feel bad. You've put in your time, and your mental sanity, your mental health is more important than how you think people will view you. I know so many teachers that have quit teaching and they've never looked back. What they do say is they miss the students, but they don't miss the demands of the job. And so if you are at that place and you do truly want to leave, I would say don't feel guilty about leaving. Now, make sure that you're making wise choices, that you have a plan, an exit plan figured out, but don't feel bad about leaving. You've invested time, and I think it's okay to change. I think it's okay to not be a teacher for the rest of your life. Again, I don't think that having lifelong careers is truly the nature of the world that we're living in now at this point. It's okay to be a career changer after 10, 15 years and then pursue something else. I personally don't see that there's anything wrong with that. And if you are someone who is considering education, I would actually give you the same advice. I think teaching is a very fulfilling job, but it is also extremely stressful. Very stressful. But if you have a heart for teaching, if you genuinely have a passion for teaching students, I would say do it. Be mindful of how much money you spend in school. Don't go to this huge Ivy League school to be a teacher. No, 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 no. That teacher's salary won't cut it. But you can go to a local college within your community. You can get your teaching degree. You can become an educator and still have a small amount of debt that you can pay off, and then be a teacher for those 10, 15 years. And then if you choose to leave, I would say again, it's okay if you leave. I would have never said this 2 years ago. But you realize that you change, your priorities change, your life changes, and certain things have to also make those adjustments with you. And sometimes it's leaving to a new apartment, sometimes it's leaving to a new state, but other times it's also changing your job. And although it is scary, I don't think that people should be bound to education and then feel miserable. For myself, I'm still at a place where I can do this. It is becoming harder, and it is becoming less satisfactory. Like, I don't get as much satisfaction out of teaching as I did when I was younger. I don't know if it's because I'm just jaded or tired, but I do still love teaching, and I love being around the students, and I love creating lessons that they enjoy and that are engaging. And of course, more than anything, I enjoy helping new teachers. And so this would be my advice to someone who is currently in the profession and people who are considering it. I think teaching is something that if you want to pursue it, you should. Get the experience, and if it's something that you want to exit out of, don't feel bad about exiting out of it. I would just say do the right thing when it comes to your education path so that you're not in this intense thousands of dollars of debt and then you have no idea how to pay it off. Definitely choose a school where you will be able to pay off your education with your teaching degree. Hopefully there's some things that can change, but my motto is always change what you can change, control what you can control. We can't control the pay, but you can control the outcome of your job. You can control the outcome of how much time you spend on lessons. And of course, you can control when you choose to say, nope, I am no longer going to do this. I'm going to close my computer, and I'm choosing myself and I'm choosing my family for today. There is never going to be a work-life balance. That is the lesson that I've learned. I've learned that there are just going to be days, weeks, and maybe even months where you may have to choose your job at that point and then your family at that point. and then your health at that point, and you're going to have to just switch off the various hats and responsibilities that you have. But I think in education as a teacher, there is no real work-life balance. There are moments where you are going to have to choose one over the other, and with time, hopefully you become content and okay with that. But I hope that you all enjoyed this video. I hope that it was insightful, quite a different video to talk about for myself, but it's something that I'm seeing all over social media, conversations that I'm having with teacher friends. And so I wanted to share my 2 cents, and I hope that you all are having an excellent time enjoying your summer, and I'll see you all in the next video.